A breathtaking aerial shot of Mongolia's vast, untouched landscapes. Rolling green plains stretch endlessly beneath a piercing blue sky. In the distance, a lone rider on horseback moves across the terrain, leaving a faint trail of dust. A dramatic time-lapse of a fierce snowstorm, transforming the land into a frozen wasteland. Aerial shot of the vast Gobi Desert, golden dunes shifting with the wind. What if I told you there's a country so enormous it could swallow France, Germany, and the UK combined, and still have room to spare? Yet 99.7% of it remains utterly uninhabited. Why? Because of the brutal winters, where temperatures plunge to -4 °C? Because of the terrifying Zood phenomenon, where entire herds of livestock freeze to death overnight? Or is it something even more shocking? Wait, what if I told you this emptiness is not just a curse, but also Mongolia's greatest advantage? In this video, we're diving deep into the mysteries of Mongolia's haunting vastness, how its extreme climate, ancient nomadic traditions, and the relentless forces of nature have shaped one of the most unique civilizations on Earth. Stay until the end, because by the time this video is over, you'll never see Mongolia the same way again. Let's begin. The land of endless space. A satellite view of Mongolia, slowly zooming in. The country appears as a vast sea of green and brown, nestled between two giants, China and Russia. Time-lapse of sunrise over the Mongolian steppe, golden light spilling over the horizon. A lone rider on horseback moves across an endless grassland, kicking up dust behind them. Close your eyes and imagine standing in a place so vast, so untouched, that you can hear nothing but the wind whispering across the grasslands. No highways, no towering skyscrapers, just endless space stretching as far as the eye can see. Welcome to Mongolia, one of the last truly wild frontiers on Earth. But here's something mind-blowing. This country is bigger than Germany, France, and Spain combined. That's nearly 1.5 million square kilometers of pure, untamed wilderness. A side-by-side comparison of Mongolia's size against European countries. A dramatic transition to a bustling city like New York, then cutting back to the vast emptiness of the steppe for contrast. Now, you might be wondering, if Mongolia is so massive, where are all the people? Let's put it into perspective. The entire country is home to just 3.5 million people. Less than the population of some single districts in major cities. Shocking fact, Tokyo's Shibuya district alone has more people than this entire nation. A dense crowd in Shibuya Crossing, contrasted with an aerial shot of the Mongolian steppe, where a single yurt stands alone in an ocean of grass. But here's the real kicker. Mongolia's population density? Just 2 people per square kilometer. A stunning animation. Mongolia appears on the map, then Texas is placed inside, twice. That's right, Mongolia is so vast that it could swallow Texas not once but twice, and still have room to spare. Only Greenland has fewer people per square kilometer. So, what's keeping the rest of the world out of this enormous land? Is it the unforgiving climate, the nomadic traditions, or is there a deeper, more mysterious reason? Stay with me, because what we uncover next will change the way you see Mongolia forever. The harsh climate. A breathtaking aerial shot of Mongolia's snow-covered steppe, where a lone yurt stands against a backdrop of white wilderness. A close-up of a Mongolian herder, his face weathered by the cold, as he tightens his fur-lined deal against the biting wind. A time-lapse of a thermometer dropping rapidly to -4 °C. Mongolia isn't just empty, it's a test of survival. In winter, temperatures here plummet to a bone-chilling -40 °C, 40 degrees Celsius. That's cold enough to make metal brittle, to freeze your breath the moment it leaves your mouth. A frozen river, solid as rock. A close-up of a Mongolian child exhaling, their breath turning into ice crystals in midair. But wait, it gets worse. When summer arrives, Mongolia transforms into an inferno. Temperatures soar to a scorching 104 degrees Fahrenheit, 40 degrees, turning the steppe into a sun-scorched wasteland. A vast, cracked desert landscape, heat waves rising from the ground. A camel herder wiping sweat from his brow as he guides his animals through the dunes. This land of extremes is unlike anywhere else on Earth. Imagine waking up in a tent, stepping outside into -40°F blizzards in winter, then enduring 100°F heat just months later. The temperature difference between winter and summer can be over 140°F, 60°C. But Mongolia's climate isn't just cold and hot, it's also brutally unpredictable. The deadly Zood disaster. A whiteout blizzard sweeping across the steppe, erasing everything in sight. A herder desperately digging through the snow, searching for his lost livestock. For Mongolian nomads, one word strikes fear like no other: Zood. A Zood is a catastrophic winter phenomenon, where extreme cold, heavy snowfall, and sudden storms kill livestock by the millions. Snow piling up over a helpless herd of animals. Fields of frozen animal carcasses after a Zood disaster. Without their animals, nomadic families lose everything: their food, their income, their future. Some are forced to migrate to the capital, Ulaanbaatar, leaving behind a way of life that has endured for thousands of years. But here's the unbelievable part. Despite these brutal conditions, Mongolians have survived and thrived for centuries. Surviving the unforgiving wilderness. A Mongolian family inside a jur, huddled around a stove, sipping on steaming sutaitsai, salty milk tea. A close-up of a herder's hand, thick with calluses, tightening the ropes of a yurt to withstand an incoming storm. How do they do it? Mongolian nomads have developed extraordinary survival skills. They heat their homes using dried animal dung, one of the only available fuel sources in the vast steppe. Their herds are carefully managed, ensuring that they can sustain their families through the harsh winters. They consume fermented mare's milk, airag, a probiotic-rich drink that helps them endure extreme conditions. And here's something incredible. Even their traditional clothing, the deal, is designed for survival, insulating the body against both the freezing cold and the scorching heat. A slow-motion close-up of a deal being fastened, showcasing its intricate patterns and thick layers. But Mongolia's biggest challenge isn't just its climate, it's the isolation. The loneliest places on Earth. A satellite shot zooming out from a lone jur in the middle of nowhere. A rider on horseback traveling across a vast empty plain. Imagine living hundreds of miles from the nearest hospital, school, or grocery store. No paved roads, no phone signal, no neighbors for miles. For most of us, this kind of isolation is unimaginable. But for Mongolians, it's simply life. A mother teaching her child inside a yurt, education happens at home. A father riding for hours just to buy basic supplies from the nearest market. In the rest of the world, people move closer to civilization. But in Mongolia, many choose to stay far from it. Why? What keeps them in this harsh, unforgiving land? In the next section, we'll uncover why half of Mongolia's population still chooses the ancient nomadic lifestyle, while the other half is rapidly embracing modern life. Stay tuned. The deadly Zood winters. A slow-motion shot of snow whipping across an endless frozen steppe. A group of Mongolian herders struggling against the wind, their faces half covered in frost. A haunting image of livestock, entire herds frozen stiff, standing as if still alive. Before we explore modern Mongolia, we need to talk about something terrifying. A force so powerful, so merciless, that it has wiped out millions of animals in a single season and pushed entire families into ruin. This is the Zood, a winter phenomenon so extreme it only happens in Mongolia. But Zood isn't just a harsh winter. It's a catastrophe. A map of Mongolia covered in white as temperatures drop to 40 degrees Fahrenheit -40°C. A time-lapse of a blizzard sweeping across the landscape, erasing everything in sight. For Mongolian herders, Zood is a life-or-death battle. It happens when brutal snowstorms bury the grasslands, leaving livestock unable to graze. Temperatures plunge to 40 degrees Fahrenheit, freezing animals alive. Ice crusts over the land, making it impossible for animals to dig through to reach food. You wake up one morning, step outside your yurt, and realize half of your herd is gone, frozen overnight. For nomads, their animals aren't just livestock, they're food, their income, their survival. When a zood strikes, it's not just a bad winter, it's the end of everything. The faces behind the tragedy. A Mongolian herder Bayar, sitting by his yurt, staring at the frozen landscape. His hands, rough and calloused, gripping a cup of steaming sutetsai as he recounts his story. The winter of 2016 was the worst I had ever seen. I lost 300 sheep in 1 month. We tried digging through the snow to find grass, but the ground was frozen solid. We had no choice but to watch them starve. Archival footage of herders using shovels to dig through the snow, desperately trying to save their animals. A tearful mother holding her child, standing outside their yurt as the wind howls. According to a 2024 UN report, the winter of 2009 to 2010 was one of the worst zoods in history. 8 million livestock perished. That was 17.7% of Mongolia's entire animal population. No animals meant no food. No food meant no income. No income meant families were left with an impossible choice: fight to survive or leave the steppe behind forever. Many didn't have a choice. Thousands of herders abandoned their way of life and fled to Mongolia's capital, Ulaanbaatar, searching for a new beginning. A shot of a herder standing by an empty corral, his head bowed. A contrast shot, Ulaanbaatar's rapidly expanding slums filled with former nomads. The once proud herders, descendants of Genghis Khan, were now struggling to find work in a city they never belonged to. Could you survive Mongolia's harsh winters? A slow-motion shot of frost forming on a man's eyelashes. A lone figure trekking through a blizzard, barely visible in the whiteout. Now, take a moment and ask yourself, could you survive in 9 to 40 degrees Fahrenheit weather, knowing that every morning you might wake up to find your food source frozen solid? Could you endure weeks without electricity, running water, or even a nearby hospital? Tell us in the comments, could you survive a Mongolian winter? And here's the real question. As Mongolia faces more extreme weather due to climate change, can its nomads survive the next zood? Or will this ancient way of life disappear forever? Stay tuned, because next, we uncover the battle between tradition and modernization, and why Mongolia's future is at a crossroads. Hit subscribe, because you won't want to miss this. Life in Ulaanbaatar. Bustling city streets, traffic jams, and traditional yurts nestled among modern buildings. In a country as vast as Mongolia, it's surprising to learn that over half the population, 1.6 million people, live in a single city, Ulaanbaatar, the coldest capital in the world. To put this into perspective, Ulaanbaatar's population is nearly the same as Philadelphia's, yet it sits in a country 23 times larger than Texas. But rapid growth has brought its own problems: overcrowded streets, choking pollution, and unplanned expansion. Smog-covered cityscapes and people wearing masks. During winter, coal-burning heaters make the air so thick with smog it feels like you're breathing smoke. According to a 2024 WHO report, Ulaanbaatar ranks among the world's most polluted cities during winter. Yet, amidst the chaos, Ulaanbaatar is thriving. It's a city of stark contrasts, where glass skyscrapers rise beside traditional felt yurts, and shopping malls sit next to sprawling open-air markets. Nomadic life in the 21st century. Nomads using smartphones, drones herding animals, and children attending school in yurts. While half of Mongolia's population lives in Ulaanbaatar, the other half continues to embrace a nomadic lifestyle that has endured for thousands of years. But don't be fooled, this isn't your ancestors' nomadism. Today's nomads are digital pioneers. They use smartphones to track weather patterns, sell livestock online, and even monitor their herds with drones. According to a 2024 report, over 90% of rural households have access to mobile internet. A family packing up their yurt and moving to a new location. But the nomadic way of life is under threat. Harsh winters, desertification, and the allure of city life are pulling families away from the steppe. Every year, thousands of nomads move to Ulaanbaatar, leaving behind their traditions for a chance at a better future. The future of Mongolia. On one side, a vast, untouched Mongolian steppe. On the other, a bustling modern street in Ulaanbaatar. Solar panels glistening on the roofs of traditional gurs, a striking blend of old and new. A group of young Mongolian students in a classroom studying technology and environmental science. Mongolia stands at a crossroads. For over 3,000 years, this land has been home to one of the world's last great nomadic cultures. But today, rapid change threatens to rewrite its future. Urbanization is accelerating. More than half of Mongolia's population now lives in Ulaanbaatar, a city struggling to keep up with its own growth. Climate change is shifting the land. Summers are getting hotter, winters more unpredictable, and the deadly Zood storms more frequent. The economy is evolving. Mongolia sits on some of the world's richest mineral deposits, fueling a booming mining industry. But at what cost? The question is, can Mongolia modernize without losing its identity? Innovation on the steppe, how Mongolia is fighting back. A herder adjusting a solar panel outside his yurt, his livestock grazing in the background. A time-lapse of a group of Mongolians setting up a wind turbine near a remote settlement. A close-up of a young entrepreneur designing a sustainable housing project in Ulaanbaatar. Mongolia may be facing big challenges, but its people are fighting back with innovation and resilience. Solar-powered yurts. Over 20% of nomadic families now use renewable energy, bringing electricity to the most remote corners of the steppe. Sustainable herding practices. To prevent overgrazing, some communities have returned to traditional rotational grazing methods, while others are using satellite tracking to monitor land health. Eco-friendly architecture. In Ulaanbaatar, architects are developing energy-efficient homes to replace the city's rapidly growing informal settlements. These solutions are helping Mongolians preserve their way of life, without being left behind by the modern world. The mining boom, a blessing or a curse. A massive open-pit mine cutting into the Mongolian landscape. A contrast shot, a herder watching from a distance, his horses grazing near the industrial site. Mongolia is sitting on a gold mine, literally. This country is rich in copper, gold, and coal, resources that the world desperately needs. The mining industry has supercharged Mongolia's economy, bringing in billions of dollars in revenue. In just the past decade, Mongolia's GDP has skyrocketed, driven by foreign investment and resource exports. But here's the problem. This boom is reshaping the country at an alarming rate. Land degradation. Over 70% of Mongolia's pasture land is now at risk due to desertification and mining operations. Pollution. Air quality in Ulaanbaatar ranks among the worst in the world during winter, fueled by coal burning in the city's overcrowded Jur districts. Cultural displacement. Traditional herders, unable to compete with industrialization, are being forced to abandon their ancestral lands. Is Mongolia trading its past for economic survival? Or is there a way to balance progress with preservation? The next generation, guardians of Mongolia's future. A classroom filled with young Mongolian students, eagerly raising their hands. A young woman in traditional Mongolian dress giving a TED-style talk about climate solutions. A coder working on a laptop inside a Jur, symbolizing the fusion of old and new. Despite these challenges, there is hope. The next generation of Mongolians is stepping up, blending tradition with technology to forge a new path forward. Education is transforming. Schools across Mongolia are introducing STEM programs, teaching young minds about environmental science, sustainable development, and global economics. Tech startups are on the rise. From fintech to ecotourism, Mongolian entrepreneurs are finding new ways to support their country's growth while protecting its unique identity. A global voice is emerging. More young Mongolians are speaking up on the international stage, advocating for climate action and cultural preservation. Mongolia isn't just adapting, it's leading the way in redefining what it means to be a modern nation while staying true to its roots. A breathtaking time-lapse of the Mongolian steppe at sunset, golden light washing over the endless plains, casting long shadows. A herder on horseback silhouetted against the horizon, his deal flowing in the wind. A montage of Mongolian life, an elder tending to a fire inside a jur, children playing in the open fields, a family sharing a meal. Mongolia is a land of extremes, a place where the past and present collide, where isolation breeds resilience, where survival isn't just a skill, it's a way of life. But as the world changes, so too does Mongolia. Cities are expanding. Industry is creeping into the untouched wilderness. And climate change threatens the delicate balance that has sustained nomadic life for centuries. The question is, how long can this way of life survive? One side shows a traditional herder on horseback. The other shows a young Mongolian in Ulaanbaatar, scrolling on a smartphone. A slow-motion close-up of a Mongolian child looking out at the vast horizon as if wondering what the future holds. Now we want to hear from you. Could you survive in Mongolia's brutal winters? Do you think nomadic life will endure, or will it vanish in the face of modernization? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this journey through the land of the eternal blue sky, don't forget to like this video to support our channel. Subscribe for more hidden stories from around the world. Hit the notification bell so you never miss our next adventure. A slow fade-out shot of a jur standing alone under a sky full of stars. The sound of wind whistling softly as the screen fades to black. Mongolia may be vast and empty, but its spirit is anything but. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.